Okay. While everybody gets settled in, my name is Frank Santner, and I'm here with Tracy Janey from GE. He's going to be responding to some questions, but let's let everybody get in and get settled in for a few minutes first. We had a good list of questions, and Tracy's all prepped here. He's on the hot seat, basically, right?
No problem. I can handle it.
So I'm Frank Sander from Nationwide Marketing Group, been with the company for 14 years, various capacities in the areas of business services, and I'll be the moderator. I'll be asking the questions. These are questions that were posed by members. So members submitted questions for this purpose, just to kind of make it as efficient as possible. But as I ask a question and Tracy provides an answer, by all means, lean in and ask another question, ask the follow-on question either through unmuting yourself, or you could use the chat feature, either one. I'll be looking at the chat. If you don't have a chance to do that, Tracy, because you'll be responding to questions, I think that'll do just fine. A couple other things to mention is that we're not going to be talking about warranty rates at all. You know, rates are totally off the table in terms of discussion topic. And the other thing to note is that this session will be recorded. It's being recorded right now. So it will be on the platform for the next 30 days, and you'll be able to go back and see it again, or any ones you miss, you'll be able to go and watch. The last thing I just wanted to mention before we get started is that today, tomorrow, and on Thursday between 6 and 7 p.m. Eastern time, we have a trade show. So when you go onto the platform, you'll see there's trade show. If you click on it now, you can't get in. It's only open between 6 and 7 p.m. Eastern time. So with that as a starting point, I'm going to go ahead and ask first question. Are you ready, Tracy?
I'm ready.
Awesome. Okay. So when functional parts are on back order, and we've seen a fair amount of that lately, for more than 7 days, what kind of policy do you have, or what kind of process do you use to compensate the consumer? And kind of as an example, the question that was asked was specifically in refrigeration, is the consumer going to be compensated with a rental or a loaner refrigerator? Does anything like that happen?
So it's done typically in our CR team. So I'm going to bring that slide up where I answer the question. Customer relations there's the number 1-844-361-0555, option 3, that you can actually make a phone call into to talk to them about this. But it depends on the case. Let's say, for instance, it's a refrigerator that's not cooling and the parts on back order. They will do many different things within that team to help out. In some cases, they give something as simple as money to buy a refrigerator, a small refrigerator to have in the home in the meantime. So it just depends on the case, and many customers have more than one refrigerator in a house, so it just depends on the situation. But they do offer compensation to the customer.
Okay, anybody have any kind of follow-up question? The other piece to it is, can the refrigerator be exchanged? Is there a kind of an exchange process tied to these parts no longer being or on long-term back order?
Yeah, so during the pandemic especially, that was an issue, and we still have some parts on back order. So if it's a part that's on back order for a length of time, they're going to make that decision to exchange it, that product. So it's, like I said, it's case by case, but we do it all the time.
Gotcha.
Hopefully not often, but we do it.
Okay, so you see the phone number there on the screen, everybody. Make sure you got that written down. On the second question, so kind of what assistance do you offer to obtain a part that's outside of your normal parts distributor sources? So, you've got, looks like 16 parts distributors.
Part of the network.
If somebody has to go outside of that, is that acceptable? And then the other thing is I think that probably not everybody knows about the 16 that you have. Where would somebody find out that list?
So that list was sent out a couple of times through an email to all of the servicers and all of the dealers, servicing dealers. It is also posted on Service Power, so they could see it there. I can also send a list to you of all the ones that we have, and then you can send it out to the group. Probably be the best way. But typically, we don't, outside of those 16 parts distributors, if they don't have it, chances are no one else is going to have it. So we do not typically go outside that process. And as far as a part, when they file a claim, they either have to have the invoice from the parts distributor or those 16 parts distributors, or the invoice from GE to file a claim. So it cannot be bought like at a refurbishing company or from a non-authorized parts distributor. It has to be through us or our network.
Okay, and you're saying you could send me the list of the 16 and we could maybe post it on MemberNet?
Yep, I will send it to you.
It's possible that it's already there, but I don't
Might
think we have that, and it would be good. Anybody have any other questions? I mean, this is really the main question related to parts, but somebody may have some other questions related to parts that they want to ask. Or we'll go on to the next question. I mean, we know Tracy's already answered 2A, which is we're not using unauthorized parts distributors. We're not using somebody aftermarket parts. I'm sure that's a big no-no, right, Tracy?
That is correct. Yeah, up until about 6 months ago, they could do that, but I made invoice a mandatory field for many reasons, mostly accounting reasons. Much better to clear out that part correctly. So using the invoice is extremely important. So that is fairly new. It is in 2022 that happened.
How would you characterize parts back orders now?
I'm sorry, say it again. I didn't understand.
How would you characterize the situation right now with parts back orders? And I'm sure it's improved, but do you have a metric of some kind there?
Yeah, during, I'll give an example. During the pandemic, we were probably somewhere around 40,000 part orders on back order, parts on back order, 40,000. Now we're somewhere under 5,000. So we're back fairly normal. And those parts come in fairly quickly. So it's not nearly as bad as it was during the pandemic.
Is there anybody on the phone that feels that there's no way that's not my experience, or is that generally what people are seeing, that the situation is significantly improved? Not down to zero, but it certainly has improved significantly. Yeah, I'm not seeing anybody here. So we have a question. Why are self-servicing dealers not able to do exchanges for their customers even when GE does have someone in the area, does not have somebody in the area? Sorry.
That's a great question. So I had a situation like that recently where a servicing dealer asked me that question, and I got them connected to our customer relations team and got them set up. So I would say any kind of request where you want to do that yourself, the map here are the 6 members in the field. You can contact them or myself, and we'll help you get that cleared up within the CR team. So I know that's been an issue for quite some time. I hear that a lot. So
this help you're talking about, Tracy, would be that you would enable that retailer to do an exchange?
Yes. So I would work with our customer relations team, which are the ones that basically set up that exchange, right? So they're typically looking within the network that we utilize. So most of the cases what you're talking about is we have somebody there, but the dealer themselves want to do it. So I can get that set up, no problem.
Okay, that's a great question, Luke. Does that help other people? Hopefully it does. Sounds like this something that has happened a fair amount, or at least some here and there. Okay, the next question, question number 3. How can we as a servicer offset the freight we pay for a warranty part. So basically, the cost that's being incurred by the servicer for that part.
Yeah, so it goes back kind of to that question about the invoice. So one of the challenges prior to 6 months ago, when the servicer filed the claim, if the invoice was incorrect, it would pay the part, but not the shipping and handling for parts bought at GE Appliances, right? So today, if you file a claim and the invoice is mandatory, you bought it from us, we will pay the shipping and handling on that claim. So that is paid when the claim is submitted.
So does this apply if it's ordered from GE Appliance, but what if it's one of your 16 parts distributors?
Then we don't pay. I don't think anybody does that, actually. If they do, I'd like to know how they do it. But because when you buy a part from a PD, you're buying it from, buying 5 different brands on one order, right? So it's never been, the OEM just typically doesn't pay for the shipping handling if it goes through a PD.
So the question was how a servicer can offset that freight. So, I mean, it's acknowledging that most people are going to buy from parts distributors or A parts or multiple parts distributors, and they're going to order multiple parts. But is there some way to offset that freight cost just in the way that the billing works, or you're just going to have to eat it?
Yeah, and in that case, buy from parts distributor, I can't make it. I can't pay for that or a way to do that. But in the case of, let's go back to GE real quick. So you bought a part from GE Appliances. Currently, I do pay a handling fee as well. So you have a good GE invoice. You bought it from us. I pay the shipping and handling, plus I pay the 10% parts adder. So only when it's bought from us. Only.
Okay, so it may be worthwhile for a servicer to buy their GE parts from GE instead of one of your 16 PDs, because you get the freight covered and a handling fee.
Correct.
Okay,
that's the best way to handle it if you want that shipping and handling paid.
Gotcha. Great answer. I mean, that's a fantastic. I didn't realize that you covered also a handling fee. Yep. The next one, I know we got some really good news on this one here. What's your customer instruction and installation correction warranty policy? So basically, if you got to go out there and it's a customer instruction issue, or it's correcting an installation issue, what is the policy, and what is that? We pay both? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So I changed that policy maybe 3 years ago. So actually later is another question about claims that get rejected. This is one of the reasons a claim gets rejected. So the reason I put those codes up there. So for instance, you file a claim on a dishwasher that is not drying, and it was a customer education, right? You used rinse agent or whatever. You would then put E100 in the MA00, which is what you would usually use to file a claim. So what happens is if you don't use E100, it will actually go into a reject. And then my team has to change it to E100 to pay that claim. So in some cases, if the servicer files a claim and it goes into a hold status for a while, they can call our claims team and then they'll change it to E100. But it takes probably usually about a week or so for my auditor to actually go through and change it to E100. Improper installation, same thing. 9INS is the code that you would put in instead of E100 or MA00, and we will pay for improper installation as well. So we pay both of them.
So are you running into a fair number of situations where things are not coded properly, and then you get an issue with the servicer because they think they're not getting paid, but it's because it got thrown out because it didn't have the right code?
Correct. But we typically try to fix those ourselves. So there'll be a delay. So the servicer might think, well, they're not going to pay it. Well, we do eventually. We end up changing it ourselves and then pay the claim. But if you had a question, you could always call the claims team, and the claims team would explain kind of the E100 and 9INS you can put on the claim.
Okay, so We got something here in the chat. Let me read this. There seems to be misinformation. We're an authorized servicer, and tech support has had us back numerous times for the same problem and instruct us to replace the same part. It works, then it stops again. Faulty parts. He has told our customers on many occasions that we need to go back out and deem the unit unrepairable because we shouldn't go out multiple times. And tech support tells us we're not allowed to deem it unrepairable, and the GE must. So that's definitely a sort of he said, she said situation. How would you, I don't know if this is a corner case. I think this would be one good for you to address, Tracy.
I think what you're saying, make sure I understand, Frank. So that if the servicer goes out and works on an appliance, and then within the first 30 days, they have to go back again because tag said you have to go back, right?
Yep.
They're not getting paid for that second repair, or if, like you said, it was a part failure. If you had something like that, you can always work with my team. If there's a claim that you had to go back a second time and you got paid once, we do that often. We'll end up paying the second claim. So it's something you have to go to the service manager in your market to talk about that claim. But it's not something systematically it's able to fly through it on its own.
So it seems like it's faulty parts. GE tells the customer that servicer needs to go back out again. On many occasions that we need to go back out again and deem the unit repairable. So GE is telling the customer that servicer has to deem it unrepairable because it doesn't seem to work. But then tech support, now the servicer goes out and tech support says, no, you can't deem that unrepairable. It has to be deemed unrepairable by GE.
So that's true.
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm the one who asked this question, and this isn't necessarily when we go out the first time. There could have already been another servicer that's gone out, and we're going out and then GE doesn't send us the notes from the previous servicer. We go out, and then the customer's standing there and they're like, well, you guys are supposed to deem this unrepairable, or GE says we need to go out and give information. And then we go out, and then the customer has the impression or has been told by GE Cares or GE Customer Relations or whatever that we need to deem this unrepairable when we come out because they want a new unit or they should have a new unit, and that's our responsibility. So we go out, our technicians talk to tech support, and tech support says absolutely not. We're going to have you put the same part in 5 times, and they don't. They know what the problem is because we have a case number, we have all that, and then they tell us, no, it's not up to us to deem it unrepairable. It's up to the GE service department or their engineer team to be able to do it. So then we're standing there with the customer irate because GE is telling them one thing and our technicians are there to do their job, and we can't do it because we're repairing parts, and then the customer's coming after us or getting mad at us. And Maine has a 4-year implied warranty law. So when we go back and replace the same part multiple times, there's a 4-year warranty on appliances in Maine. I don't know if GE knows that or cares, but we run into this on more than one occasion where customers are like, you have a 4-year implied warranty. So here we are, the servicer, trying to help the customer. Meanwhile, and we've called customer relations and talked to customer relations, and customer relations have told our managers or CSRs that yeah, you guys are supposed to deem that unrepairable, but tech support's saying something else. So it's just a round in circles where he said, she said, finger pointing game between GE and I don't want to say us because we're just trying to get the customer taken care of. So
Tracy, maybe this is one that you could like exchange contact information or get an example of something, because it seems like this could take some research.
Yeah, I think this one, that's an unusual one for sure. But I do want to address one thing about, so I can get you my information and we'll work on the individual issue you're talking about. So that's not an issue. But the truth is a non-repairable product can only be deemed by tag. That is true. So to exchange the product for it's not repairable, that can only be done by tag. So you're correct about that. But I need to look in deeper in that case to understand why the agent told the customer that. That's a real problem. I'll have to dig into that one a little deeper. So
Rick, if you need Tracy Janey's information, reach out to me, reach out to Mark Politz. So, or maybe is your contact information on there anywhere, your email address or something?
There is not, but I'll type it in here at the end while we're answering questions there. So
we had another question from Nick. What's the time allowed from data purchase for customer and install issues, customer education and install issues?
Oh, that's a great question. Because a lot of companies for both of those, usually customer education is only one they pay. And then the second one's improper installations, usually within the first 15 days or something. But I specifically do not have a limit on this. Customer education, I think you could easily have more than one, and I think we should pay for that. So we pay for multiple customer education. Improper installation doesn't happen often, but later than 30 days. But I do not have a rule in place. So if it happened, at the end of the warranty, I would still pay it. I would still pay that installation. Because you never know, right? It could be the 11th month. You go out to work on something for the first time and you realize it's actually an installation that's causing the problem. So I pay it the whole time for the warranty.
Okay. Go ahead and go to your next slide, which I guess is the rest of the questions, right?
Yep.
Here we go. Regarding warranty rates, what are the key metrics I'm graded on? So this is not what are the rates, but how do I get graded? What are this quality of service? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so quality of service is a survey that we send to the consumer after the servicer has been. I've had an issue with this because we use a company called Medallia. It's currently fixed. Now, October 1st, this started. So we'll get much better QoS data. So that is done by a text to the number that's on the claim. So one thing I would say is make sure that when you're filing a claim that the phone number is actually a cell phone, because then we can text that consumer and then get a survey back. So we're looking at a target of around 92, which is somewhere between 85 and 92. I put 92 there, but the national average for my network is somewhere around 85. That's kind of the average. So I'm looking for something north of 85.
So 85 is the GE factory service. Is that correct?
92 is GE factory service. 85 is my independent network. So totally two different things. Yeah. So factory service scores typically are in the 90s. It's very hard for the independent side to get to that high, but I have some that score better than factory service. So it is very possible. But I think that is the most important thing that I look at is QoS.
Tell us a little bit about how people know what their score is. Is there somewhere that they could get the information? I mean, you see work with your CCSM, but
yep. You can work with them. We will have the ability for them to go on and look at their QoS on an ongoing basis. I don't have that capability yet, but I will. But so for today, the only thing you could do would be to work with your CCS in your market, and they can pull that report out of Medallia. But I will have it where we'll actually be able to do it themselves in future state.
Okay. Let's go to question number 6. What can I, as a servicer, do to provide you with information that would help us reach an equitable rate agreement? Not knowing and sharing the cost of doing does knowing the cost of sharing does knowing and me sharing my cost of doing business help in as part of this rate negotiation? So if you see what my costs are, is that going to help out here?
It's a good part of the conversation, right? So what we look at from a one-on-one, so I put on there, this is a one-on-one conversation between the servicer and the CCSM. Mm-hmm. But in general, so every market's different. So we're going to look at that market and what we pay in that market, right? So what do we pay for dealers? What do we pay for an authorized service? Meaning someone that I dispatch calls to, right? So I'm looking at the full picture as well. So it's always good to know, because I've seen some pretty wide ranging differences in cost of doing business. But my guys know this pretty well. So we can help with probably understanding of what we see with others. So it's always good to see this. I think it does help the conversation.
Okay.
Yeah. I will say this, that there's two with a servicing dealer, it's two different discussions. Number one, if they're willing to take a dispatch from us, I'm gonna look at how much I'm paying you differently than I do if you just service your own customers only. Because if I'm a dispatcher call because I need you in that market, you're in an area that I only have you. I want you to do those calls, and that would be a different conversation on how much the rate would be. So I think every OEM would probably say the same thing.
So if you're a scarce resource, take advantage of it.
Take advantage of it. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's right. I mean, you're probably in business there because there isn't anybody else. So exactly. Yeah, take advantage of that. Yep. I recently did an increase with a servicing dealer, and just for that reason. Yeah, there was no one within 60 miles of their location. So they were it.
Nice. Okay, let's move to question number 7 here. I know we're running out of time. What are the top 3 reasons why claims get rejected, and kind of what can I do to eliminate those rejections? Yeah,
so model and serial number is number 1. And I'll go to what can I do to reduce that? Have your techs always take a picture of it. That's the best thing to do. Services that do that typically have no problem getting that claim paid. The other one's out of warranty. I guess one way to reduce that would be when you're with the customer, make sure that you know when they purchase the product and it's still under warranty. If you have, and I would take a picture of the receipt as well, especially if it gets rejected for out of warranty, you can show the claims team and they'll pay that claim. And then I told you earlier, number 3 is the use the wrong repair code. So as I mentioned, most repairs are MA00, but if it's a customer education or an install, you would use one of those other 2 codes. So that's probably number 3 in my top reject reasons. Okay, so it sounds like you got 3 great fixes for every one of these errors or reasons for reject. That's a big thumbs up. Okay, number 8, does your technical assistance staff have the ability to connect with a technician using video chat apps like visual support, site call, anything else like that? So they do have, and I don't remember which software it is, that we can initiate a video call with the tech with their smartphone. So if there's something unusual. The last time I heard, so the team is about 20, I think 28 guys that are on the team. Only like 3 or 4 of them had that ability. It's something that we're going to expand. One of the issues has been with this one is that work from home. And during the pandemic, everybody worked from home, and we didn't have that capability in the home. So they're working on that now to expand this capability across the entire team. So we do, and you should see this more and more going forward. And I'm going to ask one last question, and then I'm going to have to leave for the next session. But you got this product diagnosis tool, Smart HQ, and tell us a little bit about the difference that's made and why you feel that every servicer should be using it. So I just pitched this yesterday, so it's kind of top of my mind for sure. But this product is the most powerful diagnostic tool in the industry. There's nothing even close. It basically allows you plug into the appliance, you can see cycle history of a refrigerator over the last 30 days. You can see failure codes over the last 30 days as well, how often it's been in failure. And I think the most powerful thing that I don't believe anybody has, maybe one other, has the ability to push a software update. So let's say the board has a problem that we found within the first 2 or 3 months, and we had to make a software change to fix that problem. So with Smart HQ, you plug it in, you can update the software, and off you go. You don't have to order where another brand, you would actually have to order the control board, then go back out there and a second trip. Smart HQ is going to allow you to update that software while you're in the home. So extremely powerful tool. Be happy to share with anybody how to get a hold of the Smart HQ. If you just type in Smart HQ GE appliances, you're going to see it all over the internet. I think we lost everybody. Anybody have questions? Trying to check here.
All right, looks like we are at the end of the hour. So thank you everyone for joining. This will be available on demand tomorrow. And thank you again. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.